everyone, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to do a quick video and share with you guys a recipe that I just made for my family last night, and it was so good. It is a peanut curry and we loved it. And so this recipe can easily be made vegetarian. Now, while you'll see in the video that I put chicken in ours, you could easily omit that and leave out the chicken and just do straight vegetarian and just bulk it up with all kinds of your favorite vegetables. It was so good. So if you like peanut sauce, it is very similar to that. I love peanut sauce. It's one of my favorite things. If I'm not the only one, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let me know that you like it as well. And let's get into that video so I can share with you guys how I made this really quick dinner for my family. It took 30 minutes to make, so it was super easy and it was definitely a hit, and we had plenty for leftovers that we'll be enjoying again tonight as well. For the curry, I used half an onion, green beans, 3 carrots. I have gluten-free soy sauce, ginger. I also have red curry paste. Make sure you get the red curry. Minced garlic, peanut butter, coconut milk, brown sugar, and I also have rice as well. Now, the way I prepare my rice is I like to rinse the rice off first in cold water. And the reason I do this is because it takes off some of the starch from the rice, which helps it from becoming too sticky when the rice is cooking. And so it was a trick that I saw one time on probably a Food Network show about sushi and how they made sushi, and ever since I saw that, that's the way I've been doing my rice, and it works really well. And you just want to rinse it for just a couple of minutes, just until the water that's running from the bottom of the colander turns clear. You can see it's pretty white and milky looking, and so just rinsing it with cold water for maybe about a minute or two will help take some of that starch off and really will make a difference in having that rice be sticky or not sticky. Okay, now that my rice is rinsed off, I'm going to go ahead and get it in my large pot. I like to use a large pot when I'm making 2 cups of rice because I want my rice to be able to cook evenly. If your pot is too small, your rice will cook unevenly. You can get some crunchy pieces, some soft pieces, and so I like to use a little bit larger pot when I'm doing it. Now, to my 2 cups of rice, I'm adding in just a touch over 3.5 cups of water. I find that having just a touch over helps it cook all the way through and makes it tender. And so into it, I also sometimes like to add that chicken broth base. This is optional. You absolutely do not have to add it. And of course, if you are vegetarian, you're going to want to skip this part. You could add a vegetable base to it. It just adds a little extra flavor to the rice, especially for our daughter who doesn't do dairy. This is a great option to giving that rice just a touch more flavor. Before we omitted dairy from her diet, I used to put butter on our rice just to kind of enhance the flavor a little bit. And this is a jasmine rice, which is what I prefer. I like the taste of it, but this just enhances it. So again, totally optional. You can leave this part out. But once I've got the broth base stirred up and I get it on the stove, once it comes to a simmer like this, I turn it off and I put the lid on it and I let it cook for 15 minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my chicken. Now, I believe I've said this in the past that for our family of 4, I only use 2 chicken breasts to feed our family per meal. And the reason I do that is it's just more economical for us to do. We do a lot of chicken in the house. And by doing this, by cutting it in half and then slicing it thin, while it's still only 2 chicken breasts, what it does is it gives us smaller pieces of chicken throughout our dish, which makes everyone feel like they're getting a lot of chicken and there's enough protein to go around. And so it's just a little trick that I do for my family, and it seems to work. Now, if you want to make this dish vegetarian, then you can bulk it up with a variety of different vegetables and that you would like to add, from carrots, onions, green beans. You could add in peas, you could add in squash, you could add in zucchini. You could pretty much add in whatever you would like, whatever your favorite vegetable is, or you could even add in tofu as well. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get the rest of this chicken sliced up before I move on to my veggies.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.
Now that my chicken's cut and set aside and my hands are cleaned, I'm going to go ahead and get my beans prepared. I'm just cutting off the ends and then I'm cutting them into bite-sized pieces. We had some green beans left in our refrigerator from another meal, so I wanted to go ahead and use these up so they did not go to waste. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned, and then I'm going to also move on to the carrots and onion. And like I said earlier, you can add whatever vegetables that you like. And honestly, if you don't like vegetables for any reason and just want to do the chicken, then go for the chicken or just the tofu or whatever you want to do. The nice thing about curries is that you can add in whatever you want, whatever you enjoy. And it's just, this is a base recipe. Now, I found this recipe online and I will make sure to link it below, but I did tweak it some. The original recipe, she put potatoes in there. I, however, do not want potatoes in my curry. Love potatoes, but just didn't want to put them in the curry. And so for me, I altered this recipe and it worked great. We loved it. So again, just use whatever vegetables you have on hand or whatever vegetables that you like to use. Wanted to mention that for my carrot scraps, what I like to do is, you can see I have a bag off to the side. I like to keep my scraps, my tops and bottoms, along with the onion scraps, because I'm saving these bags, or filling these bags I should say, for making chicken stock and also vegetable stock. And so I've got one that's already full and I'm waiting to fill this other one so that way I can do them both at the same time. And I wanted to be able to share that video with you guys soon so you guys could see how to make a quick vegetable stock or even a chicken stock that you could use either the day that you make it, or you can put it in the freezer and pull it out and use it at a later date. And so I'm going to go ahead and get my carrots peeled and cleaned. I'm also going to go ahead and get everything else chopped up and ready for the curry.
All will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright. And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high.
Okay, vegetables and chicken are now ready to go, and my pot has been heating up, and to it I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can use whatever type of oil you have on hand, and if you don't have any oil, you could also just saute your vegetables in a little bit of water as well, and that will work. Once you're sauteing your vegetables, you want to saute them until the onions are soft. Don't worry about the carrots. They will continue to cook and will be tender by the time you are done putting the curry together. My timer did go off for my rice, so I had to check on that, and there was still just a touch of water left in the pan, so I gave it a good stir, turned off the heat, and then covered it and let it finish steaming for another 15 minutes while I was putting the curry together. And when I was done with that, the rice was complete and ready to go. And so to my pot, I'm going to go ahead and add in my chicken And then that way we can start sauteing the chicken in with the carrots and onions. Now, the original recipe does call for you to add in your garlic, ginger, and red curry paste all at the same time. I opted to wait on the red curry paste because I wanted to keep an eye on my chicken. If you add it all in at one time and you coat everything, you won't be able to tell if your chicken is cooked all the way through. And I wanted to be able to avoid that so I don't accidentally taste something when the chicken is still raw. Now to it, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of garlic. I'll also be adding in 2 teaspoons of ginger paste. Now the original recipe does call for ground ginger. However, I don't use ground ginger. I typically use the paste or fresh. It's really whatever you have on hand, but both, or I should say all 3 of them actually would work. Just use what you have, but I usually keep the paste on hand in the house because it just makes it easier to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and give a good stir to my dish just to make sure that I get the garlic and the ginger mixed throughout the carrots, onions, and chicken. And now you can see the chicken has been cooking for a little while and it's almost done. At this point is when I add in the red curry paste. And so it's a 4-ounce jar of red curry paste. I will link it below, but you guys can find this at Walmart. You can find it on Amazon. You could also get it at a local grocery store. We have Publix and Harris Teeter near us. I know every store is a little bit different, but if you have a Kroger, they should carry it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in and get this mixed together and get this all the chicken, the carrots, and onions coated really well.
I ain't going back, I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going live. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot.
Okay, I've let my chicken and curry cook for a few minutes, and with the coconut milk, now this is the Thai Kitchen is my favorite brand of coconut milk. They are all a little bit different in their consistency. The only one that I have found that I honestly just don't really prefer, and this is just a personal preference, is the Goya brand. It's not like their brands are bad. I just like the Thai Kitchen coconut milk better because it does have a nice thick cream, which is what I really like about the coconut milk. And what you will see is when you get your coconut milk, you're going to want to try to shake it up. Now, a lot of times, some of these cans of the Thai Kitchen, the cream is super thick. With this one, the first one, it was able to shake up and mix well. With the second one, that cream was so thick on the top, it did not want to. So either way, it doesn't really matter. Dump your coconut milk in. This is just a personal preference on the brand that I like. You choose a coconut milk you like. You could also use a coconut milk that you find in the refrigerated section. If that's what you have in your house, you could use that type of coconut milk as well. However, I like to keep the cans of coconut milk stocked in our pantry because we do a lot of stir fries and we do a lot of curries as well. And so that's just a personal preference. Okay, now I'm just making sure that I stir my coconut milk in really well just to make sure it's all blended in. You may see a little bit of separation in the coconut milk, but don't worry about that. To my curry, I'm adding in 1/4 cup of peanut butter along with 2 tablespoons as well. Now I chose to just use creamy peanut butter, but if you have crunchy peanut butter on hand, you could use that as well. A lot of times Thai curries are topped with crushed peanuts, so it would be just fine to use crunchy peanut butter. Now that the peanut butter is added, I'm going to go ahead and add in our gluten-free soy sauce. Now this dish is gluten-free because of the soy sauce. You just want to make sure that if you are making your rice, make sure that if you add in anything to the rice that it remains gluten-free. But this is a gluten-free dish as long as you use the right type of soy sauce. I'm adding in 4 teaspoons of soy sauce, and then to that I'm going to be also adding in the 5 tablespoons of brown sugar. Once I get this stirred up, I went ahead and tasted it, and I found that it needed just a little bit more ginger and a little bit more peanut butter. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in to this dish. I love peanut sauce. It really is one of my favorite. I love to do a Thai peanut chicken like pizza. I love Thai lettuce wraps with peanut sauce. I love to dip just cucumbers, carrots in it. So I'm a really big fan. So this is where I really altered the recipe by adding in probably another teaspoon of ginger and then another quarter cup of peanut butter to it, and that really made it just what I was looking for. Now, one thing I forgot to add in the intro of the video was the lime juice. It calls for 1 lime. I added in about a teaspoon of lime juice. This is just what I had in the house. I didn't have any fresh limes, and so I just added in about a teaspoon, and that was perfect. That worked great for what we were looking for. And once I get all of it stirred in, I went ahead and taste tested it again and discovered that it needed a little sesame oil. Now, that is a personal preference. When I make peanut sauce for wraps or for just dipping for veggies or for our pizza, I like a lot of sesame oil in my peanut sauce. It really is just a personal preference. But I found that this curry needed that little bit. So I just add in a couple of dashes of sesame oil. That is completely optional. It's not called for in the original recipe. Again, this is just a personal preference, but I feel like it took it up just another notch by doing that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the green beans. You want to add these in last, whether they're frozen or fresh, just because they don't take very long to cook, and you do want to kind of leave them a little al dente when you're doing the curry. Unless you really like your vegetables a lot softer, you can then add them in just a touch earlier. We, however, prefer them to be just a little bit on the crunchy side. And that's it. The curry is done. So I've turned off my temperature and I'm just checking my rice. It's been steaming for about 15 minutes now, and as you can see, it's done. And so the rice is soft, it's tender, there's no additional moisture left in the pot. And so if you wind up making rice and it's always sticky, try that little trick of rinsing it off with cold water and see how you like it. And this is the final result of our dinner from last night. It was so good. And again, this curry can be made with just all vegetables and keep it completely vegetarian, or you can do it just like I did. Add in some additional vegetables if you want with the chicken and really bulk it up with your vegetables, so that way you don't have to use as much chicken in your dish. And again, don't forget, you could also add in tofu as well to keep it vegetarian. So I just want to thank you guys for joining me today in this quick video as I share with you a new recipe that I tried, but it was so good that I wanted to make sure I came and shared it so you all could enjoy it as well. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. There are more videos coming your way, and I will make sure to link one at the end of this video that you guys can check out next.